Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Life as a Dance. My name is Taras Denisenko, and you know who I'm going to introduce next, my beautiful wife, co-host, and music aficionado. Let's put your hands together for Wendy.
I believe I was supposed to be introducing you today because let's talk about music aficionado. For those of you that are not aware, that Taras not only is dancer extraordinaire, but he was once in a hard rock band.
That's right. Broken Wings, best late 80s, early 90s band ever. We opened up for all sorts of main acts.
No, we didn't. Now he is a hip doctor. And
yes.
That could be a whole episode in itself, the irony of hip doctor, hip replacements, but Taras spends many hours at night rehearsing and
you love it.
Keeps me from sleeping.
She
I do enjoy listening to
every song I play. Everything from
Skid Row, Guns N' Roses, Def Leppard, Chris Stapleton, ZZ Top. I could go on.
Yeah, we got a set list. So we're building a set list we actually got a gig. Somebody was brave enough to hire my current band, the Hip Doctors, which we're going to definitely talk about in a future episode. But they're very renowned Arthur Murray professionals, and they deserve their own podcast. So we'll definitely be talking about them in the future. But the set list does include a bunch of songs that Wendy was talking about, but it also, just to show the variety of music that you can dance to and I like to play, is anything from Chris Stapleton to Whitesnake to oh my gosh, I just forgot the name of the band because I'm frozen in the head. Beatles, yeah.
All sorts of different. Maybe we should. It's good that you forgot, so you can keep it top secret. Because anyone that's in Florida that's listening in, you don't want to give it away. No. What's happening?
But what today's episode is about is we've had recently students ask us where they can find music to dance to. We do teach all sorts of different dances, from classic ballroom to Latin to country western. And even though when people come into the studio for the first time, learning the names of the dances is something that's brand new to them, whereas listening to music is not brand new, but putting the two things together, what dance goes to what kind of music? Wendy, what do you think about that? Do you think people ask about that?
Oh, absolutely. Of course, our best resource for that is coming to our parties. Arthur Murray studio out there, that's a big portion of what we focus on in parties. And then, of course, your private lessons at Arthur Murray Dance Studios. We are huge advocates of teaching you not only how to dance, but how to talk while you're dancing and how to train your ear so you are in control of the music, not the DJ, because you're not always guaranteed a good DJ. But we want to make sure that no matter what music style is playing, you understand if it's a cha-cha, a rumba, a waltz, and thus forth. So you can enjoy any venue with any type of dancing.
I totally agree. I want to definitely echo that thought of you have to train your body and your ear, and doing both things at the same time. So if you're brand new to dancing, learning to move to the music is a whole separate journey. So you have to develop muscle memory, and then you have to develop your ear as well. So that's a really, really good point that you brought up. So thanks, Wendy.
My pleasure, Taras. The interesting thing is there is this journey that happens with music. Music is always playing in our household. Growing up, my parents always had music playing. Music is just, I don't know, it's just so joyful. I can't imagine life without music. And, when we're in the studio, it's funny, we'll tell the staff too, when there's no music playing, we're like, make sure music is always playing. Yeah. So when people walk into the studio for the first time or the 100th time, that music just hits their soul. And we know that no matter what kind of day they've had, that music playing can make an impact on their day and even how the lesson's going to go.
That's totally true. We actually had some students that I used to teach. They would always come in if there was no music playing. They'd be like, "Is this a dance studio?" And I'm like, "Yeah. Why isn't any music playing?" So if you are advanced advanced dancers or experienced dancers, you know, sometimes you don't dance the music, or when you're brand new to dancing, you don't always dance the music. But like Wendy said, you always should have music playing. So since you brought up your parents and you grew up in a household where they listen to music, what are some of the songs that you grew up on?
Oh my gosh, how long do we have? My parents
7 minutes.
My parents would go to concerts. They would have parties, and my father was with Honeywell, and they would have dance competitions. My parents would come home having won competitions. Bee Gees, Earth, Wind and Fire, Diana Ross. I mean, the list goes on and on. Michael Jackson, just fantastic music. The Pointer Sisters. Oh my gosh, my parents were always dancing.
So is it safe to say you grew up listening to R&B? A lot of R&B?
A lot of R&B. I mean, a lot of different genres, but yeah, R&B, soul was just a really big Stevie Wonder, just music that was amazing when I was really little. I remember the albums. My parents had records.
Ooh, remember the days of records? Mm-hmm. Used to go to a record store. And I used to work at a music store. Really quick story. I used to work at a store called House of Guitars, which actually is still called House of Guitars. It's in Rochester, New York. It is the largest music store in the world. And if you live in Rochester, you know all about it. And if you are into music and instruments and stuff, you probably heard about it. They have all sorts of vintage gear, guitars, amps, a lot of stuff. Even national acts, when they used to tour back in the 80s and 90s, would always stop there and sign this wall. If you go visit our other channel, Pain in the Dance, we actually did a tour of the House of Guitars. You can go check that out. But getting back to the whole albums thing, I used to unload trucks for when we used to get inventory in, and the albums were so heavy. But do you remember looking at the album art? Like you buy a record and it was an entire experience where you look at the front of it, the back of it, and then you pull the sleeve out and then you get to see the artwork in there. Like it wasn't a total experience.
What about the ones that came with posters?
Yes. That's
that
what
you
I'm talking
could pull
about.
out.
Yeah. Like I remember
magical
buying, what was it? I think it was the Guns N' Roses album when it came out. Like they would hire like legit artists to paint their album art. So it was pretty amazing. The
crazy thing to think about too is that not that long ago, but I mean, if you wanted to listen to music, I mean, you had to buy it. You had to buy the record or the CD. You couldn't just pull up the computer or YouTube and just play whatever song you wanted at any time. You had to go buy it.
That's right. You did. But you know, that actually brings us up to a perfect segue, Wendy. Thank you. Our first tool to help dancers with music recognition is actually what Wendy just said, YouTube. YouTube is such a great resource to find music.
I didn't say it. I was trying to keep it a secret.
YouTube, you can pretty much find anything on YouTube. But we just pulled up here just real quick, and we'll put a link to some of this stuff in the description below so you can check it out. But if you just put in, like I put in the search, just ballroom dance music playlist, and like just all this stuff comes up. And a lot of this stuff is strict tempo, and meaning strict tempo is dance ballroom music should be done to a specific timing, meaning measures per minute or beats per minute. And so some of these pages here have strict tempo music. And then as you go down, it gets kind of a little bit more diverse. But like right here, we see Cha-Cha Music Mix number 7. That's probably all, it's the ballroom mix. That's probably all like strict tempo stuff. Mm-hmm. So if you're familiar with YouTube and you're comfortable using that, that's one of your resources that you can go use right away.
There are so many things I want to talk about right now, but it would be like an hour-long episode in respect to music. Which, speaking of, Taras, did you know that yesterday was International Happiness Day?
No.
Yeah, so I think music makes everyone happy. And I would love to take a moment to talk to parents out there who might be sitting at home wondering, gosh, should we take lessons right now? I grew up in a household where my parents danced, And it was so impactful for myself and my brothers, seeing my parents dancing and happy, and seeing how a man is supposed to treat a woman. My dad dancing with me, it really set joy in the household, and just having music playing, that it's truly a gift to give to your kids. So if you're out there listening to this podcast and wondering if dancing is for you,
it sure
visit
is.
your local Arthurbury.
Yeah. And while you're taking lessons for yourselves, might not be a bad idea to have your kids try it out too. One of the great things about learning to dance is it helps develop confidence. Also, some of the more traditional things like escorting, for a guy, escorting a girl onto the floor and off the floor, and how to ask a girl to dance. And for ladies, grace, poise. There's all like great things that you learn. So definitely check it out. For anybody.
Yes.
Okay, so getting back to our music, going to our second resource, which probably a lot of you are familiar with, but if not, get yourselves familiar with this one, Spotify. Spotify, if I go back to my browser here, so just go to spotify.com. It's also an app that you can put on your phone. I didn't put anything up, but in the studio, we use Spotify to a point, but you can see already here, some of the latest things I was already listening to is like Mambo and some Sambas on here. So Spotify also enables people to make playlists, and there's all sorts of different playlists that you can make. And if I just drag over here really quick, here comes my Spotify. Get in there. There you are. So you can see some of this Spotify playlist. There's Samba, Smooth 3. Now you have different styles of smooth dancing, or we have different styles of the traveling dances, International Standard and American Style Smooth. And when you go into the studio and you can ask them questions about that, what are the differences, which we won't get into today, but there are differences. And then the same thing with rhythm versus Latin. So Spotify, great tool to use as well.
And speaking of playlists, one of the big things that we like to do at Arthur Murray Dance Studios is we want to really expose our students to different genres of music, to kind of open your mind in respect to music perhaps maybe you've never enjoyed, but understanding that maybe it's a style of music you haven't loved. I'll just throw country out there. I like country, but a lot of students. But once you learn that there's country cha-chas, country swing, wouldn't it be better to know how to dance to it than versus just sitting at a wedding or a social function being like, I don't like this music.
Yeah.
We want to help you really enjoy music from a different perspective of being able to move to it.
Yeah, as we were getting ready for today, speaking of country western, I heard Avini's Waltz and was playing on Pandora. Now, Pandora is not always the easiest tool. It's a great tool if you hear just some random songs. You'd be like, oh, once you get more experienced with what dances go to what music, you start to hear all these songs in different ways. And there was that Avini's Waltz that came on. What was that?
Brett Young.
It's an awesome Avini's Waltz. We're going to put that in our studio easy play DJ for future use for Avini's Waltz.
New music is always, it's always exciting. Even though we have an instructor, I won't say any names, but he gets a song in his head and he likes to play it over and over again.
You talking about Eric?
No.
I'll say his name. Eric gets fixed. He gets fixed on a certain song, and it doesn't matter what day of the year it is. He finds it very appropriate to play Christmas music at any time. It's
indeed. Indeed. And music's really an important part of dance studios, obviously. Right now we're talking about, music, and we love to encourage our students. If you have music that you really enjoy and you want to create your own playlist, you are welcome to do that. And we will help determine what these songs are to what dances and play them in the studio, because we want you to not only get exposed to different music, but we want to hear what kind of music you like, so you can hear that while you're doing your dancing in the studio with us.
Like Metallica?
Yeah.
Megadeth?
Why not?
Slayer?
Although in respect to that, it is a crazy world. We do need to put the clean
Yeah.
version. We've had some episodes where some music was playing and forgot to do that. And there was some colorful language. That,
We're all adults.
Yeah. We try to avoid that. So.
Well, most of us are adults. Most of us. All right. Which brings us to our third and final tool just for this episode of what you can use. Now, there's all sorts of them, but these are the top kind of three that popped into our heads. But for those of you who are a little bit, like I mentioned earlier, about strict tempo music and things that are very specific done to BPMs and MPMs, there's another resource tool that you can use, which is right here. Let's go back to our browser. The Music Mills. It's a music network for dancers. Now,
this is so cool.
Before I go to this website, we'll go back onto us here. So Brent is the music coordinator or what's it called? What's he called?
Music director.
Music director. Thank you.
Music boss.
Music boss director. So he and Charles, when you go to Dance-oramas and competitions, he's in charge of playing all the music, and his whole purpose in life, he has one purpose only: to deliver the best possible music for you to be able to dance to. And so Wendy's judging and a good tune comes on, and
you might see even the judges kind of moving and grooving on the sidelines to the music that Brent and Charles play.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
So back to their website, check this out. They got a really cool website, Music Mills and Music Network for World Dancers. Now, what's super exciting about this website is this is an example of also what a dance competition looks like.
Is that Superama Terrace in Vegas, you think? Or
I think so. Yeah, I think
like
that's in Vegas. Yeah.
Or Worldorama.
I think Superama.
Looks like Vegas.
Superama Vegas, yeah. But you can see in the background there. Now, if you're only listening to this on audio, visit our YouTube link. And you can see kind of what we're showing right now. But what's really cool is this is like the formal evening where they're just doing general dancing to live music. Now, Brent is playing on the drums back there. So if you go visit the site, you'll see him wearing the white tuxedo coat in the back, jamming away. And the singer there, she actually sang for Prince, believe it or not. And the bass player there, Carlos, is the best bass player in the world, in my opinion. Super cool group of guys.
Taras, wasn't there a year where you got to get up there and play with them?
Oh man, there sure was. It was awesome. But you'll see kind of they're playing this through again. You'll see people dancing in the bottom, and there's one in the blue shirt. He just danced by. And then there's, Peter Sable. He was a student of yours when he was just a young lad. But now he's a teacher and he's a professional dancer.
So exciting to see that.
There's Jay. But I'm going to scroll through here. This is a really, like I said, super great resource to go visit. He has also an app that you can download, but he actually makes music as well.
There's Brent right there.
Yeah, there's Brent. There he is.
You know, it's neat that you're doing this right now because as far as music, we've been talking about it like within the studio, dancing at the studio, perhaps practicing at home, but segueing to this website and seeing dancers like that. Another really big part of what Arthur Murray Studios is about is giving students an opportunity to perform. And oftentimes when you do a solo or a spotlight or planning for an event, it's time to select that perfect song. And that can be a lot of pressure to pick the perfect song. And usually the teachers will do that, but we encourage our students. So these are great resources that Taras has put together for us for you to visit so you can check out music for maybe that next spotlight or showcase or event that you're planning for.
Absolutely. And speaking of, just real quick before we close up, if you look at the photo behind, or the painting that we got for behind Wendy, you'll see a famous singer right there. Do you know who that is? David Bowie.
There's another one too. Where? Right there.
Yep. And then Madonna. And then we mentioned his name earlier. Prince. There he is. So I thought that was a really, really cool print to get as a great, fun little backdrop, kind of cool artwork. But so there's 3 resources you can access at any time: YouTube, Spotify, and the Music Mills app. And for any of your musical needs. So that about wraps up this episode. Wendy, anything else?
I don't know if I should expose this publicly. Should I? Okay, I will. See if there's anyone else out there. So there is this interesting phenomenon that I experience that I don't know if anyone else does, but talking about performances. So exciting that life is starting to get us in the direction where we can all be together again. And here in our studio here in Arthur Murray, Virginia Beach, we are planning on May 15th, our very first event in person. And we are so excited about it, right, Taras?
We're totally excited about it.
Totally excited. So something that can happen is when you find that perfect song or you pick that song, I all of a sudden feel like I own it. And then I don't want anyone else to play it. I'll tell the staff, I'll be like, this song is off. We like to do that if our students pick songs. So if you're out there and you've got a song in mind and it's played at the studio or you're worried, don't worry. We'll support you in that we won't play that song. It'll be your song for a short time.
We will for a short time. And once
it'll retire at some point.
You have to relinquish it at some point.
We'll relinquish it at some point. Well, we'll give you a little bit of time where it's just your song.
Yep. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this episode of Life as a Dance, your musical stop this time. But we'll have a lot more stuff coming to you in the future. We're going to talk about how we started in dancing and, of course, about the Hip Doctors, the band. But until next time, I'll let Wendy sign us off.
So your assignment is to play some music and get up and dance.